talks about Armada 2.0, I swear to God I will come for you.
Saying that they are surprise mechanics, and people love surprises.
To get a Baneblade, the plastic Baneblade, to sell in the store at ROE Games, 19 Park Lane, Havelock. Come by, see us.
Aoski here, and this is By the Numbers.
This week we're going to be going over character creation for Wrath and Glory.
My name is Keith, or you can call me ArmorBoy21. That's my gaming deck. Today we're going to go over D&D.
Oh, hello there. Your armor, sir?
Whoa!
You take 7 points of damage.
Alright guys, we're rocking out really hard tonight. So what we got going on is Crease.
There will be swearing and or shenanigans of the adult nature.
God damn it!
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Gamer Interrupted. My name is AJ East Coast, and I am your host tonight of this Enter the Gamer Actual production. I have with me tonight a very special guest. Her name is Natalie Asport, known as Guitarist93. How you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. So you're kind of just like the jack of all trades, aren't you? You're on Twitch under Digitally Distorted. Is that right?
Yes.
And
yeah,
you're
on Twitch.
Natalie is also a Full Sail alumni of which class again?
2013.
2013. All right. And she is a active game artist for Avalanche Studios.
Yeah.
You got quite the resume going for you all the time. Busy all the time. We were talking a little bit before stream about, you know, just working from home and all that. How's that been so far this year?
Yeah, it's been very different than how it was normally, I guess, last year.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Typically I would be commuting every single day, in the city. I lived in New York City, and
how long was your typical commute?
Well, actually, I had it pretty well. I would actually walk to the office.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really nice. Before that, I would take the subway. It would be about an hour one way, just to get. So I would take the subway, and I used to live in Forest Hills, Queens, and it was just a really long trek. So eventually, my lease was up, and I said, I'm just gonna move into the city where I can walk to the office, and it kind of balanced out the money and time I saved from having to take the train. It did balance out. So my normal commute would be to walk to the office, rain, sun or shine.
Okay, yeah.
Snow, and it's very weird now because my commute is walking, but it's a very short walk to my desk from my
to your
room.
Desk. Yeah.
So,
I get up in the morning from the bedroom to the desk about 90 feet.
yeah, it's really strange too, because I would rely on that walk as my exercise. So I had to
do some
actually get up. Yeah, I had to actually get up and go outside, even though I didn't really have to get to work.
Did you enjoy living in the city and the hustle and bustle and all that?
Yeah, I loved it. It's so currently, like, as you know, I'm currently in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holding up here still. It's been a while, but yeah, it's such a pace that you just get into. Everybody knows where they're going. So when you're walking, everybody's like fast walking.
Is everyone doing this with their cell phones looking down?
Yeah, there's a mix of that. I think I more see a lot of people just do that tunnel vision, where they hunch over and just like fast paced walk, and they don't even recognize like there's people next to them. Like, I've so many times I'd walk past coworkers and friends, and I'm like, hey, and they didn't recognize me at all, or they didn't. It's not that they didn't recognize me; it just didn't register that I was I was right there. They're just, I'm like, you know what? They know where they're going. So it's just that type of environment that everybody just is doing their own thing, and it's really nice. I think it's very motivational too, because it's that kind of saying of like, everybody's grinding, so it's kind of contagious. So you just get involved with things. You go to events and you start honing in on your craft, and it's just, yeah. I found myself walking everywhere.
Really?
Too.
Yeah,
Like
walking
I was
everywhere.
walking. Yeah.
Becoming a regular old New Yorker, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about those calf muscles.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm glad that you were able to come, down back here to safeties. We know how, New York City's had a hard time with, everything that was going on, so praying for everybody up there. So, yeah, moving on from that, I just wanted, we want to bring you by tonight to talk all things game art and, your transition and all that into professional game art and stuff like that. So, was games always kind of a big part of your life growing up?
Yeah, actually, I would say that I was exposed to a lot of different creative mediums
Okay.
at a young age.
How do you mean by that?
Games, like not just games, but music, movies, traditional art. But going back, games has played such a significant impact into like how just like I guess just like, yeah, my creative side and my creative direction. So yeah, I played a ton of games, and I would say that I don't know, like I'm probably going to a tangent, but
No, go ahead. Tell a story, yeah.
yeah, I remember like the first, well, I don't even remember the very first game I played, but I know a lot of the first games I did play was Atari or Super Mario Brothers with my sister, and
The classics.
Tetris has obviously been around.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the classic stuff.
I like to refer to those in game development as the historical documents.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I actually teach a class as well.
Really?
And
Okay.
Yeah, I actually do in NYU Game Center. So shout out to them as well.
What do you
but,
teach? Sorry, I know a little tangent there, but you brought up such a cool point.
Yeah, no problem. I teach 3D modeling for games.
Wow, that's incredible. And how many
Yeah.
students do you have?
So typically we get a lot of students when we are on campus. So I've taught like 23 students. Usually it's like around like 18 to 23 students. But this semester it's cut down significantly. It was just so many, obviously with everything going on, just so many obstacles. So it's a handful, it's like 4 students. So
Okay, yeah. But you're the main teacher. You're the professor. Can I say that? Are you the professor of this class?
yeah, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah, but the reason I brought that up is because we do talk about the historical documents
Yeah.
and like the classics, and when you're talking about today's game art, you have to refer back to where we started from, and that's, I mean, like even like Pong and what's it, Space Machine. It's like the very beginning. You have these 2 like pixels just moving up and down on the screen, and this like physics ball that's moving around, and now we're just, everything's just looking so realistic. But you can also reference any point in time and try to replicate that type of art.
Wow.
So we're no longer held by our tech or our imagination. We can really, it's almost like being a filmmaker who now can try to make like a Charlie Chaplin film if they want to, or they can try to make a Star Wars film if they want to, and a musician can refer back to like the Supremes, or they can refer to like making something like Skrillex or something.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, we have to always refer back to the classics.
just unlimited creative, possibilities and stuff like that. We had a person, a guy, a game developer that came on here a while ago. He took a different version of Pong, turned it into, instead of having to hit the balls, to avoid the balls. And we did an interview with him, and he talks about that a lot too. That referring back to the older stuff can lead to newer future projects.
Nice.
Yeah. So going back to
like the same concept.
To what you were saying beforehand, so you said that games were such a you always look to games. They were part of your life for a little bit. Did you kind of grow up wanting to be a game artist one day? Was that what you were dreaming of being, or is this kind of something that kind of just happened when you were in high school or something like that, or?
Yeah, I would say it organically evolved. Where one thing I like is not, you kind of have this goal and you have this plan of like how to, at least for me, I always consider myself an artist, so always trying to find ways to express myself, and so that medium always changes. And when I was very little, I started creating games out of paper because I didn't know tech at all. So I would like cut the cut paper in the shape of a controller and then tape a paper wire into a TV, and like it was obviously not going to work. But I
love that.
Yeah, I realized there was limitations there, so I kind of put that aside. I guess I didn't really think that I could get into games. I didn't see it as a viable career, I guess, until around high school. I knew I wanted to all I wanted to do was to make my drawings come to life. That was like the thing when I was little. I want to make my drawings come to life.
So you always drew
that meant
as a
like
kid?
2D animation or Sorry?
Drawing was your main hobby as a kid, like actually sketching and stuff like that?
Yeah, and you probably see like with my like a lot of the art I post, I still refer back to drawing, even though I do mostly 3D work nowadays for like majority of the day, but I always loved drawing. I never let that go. And that would be my like driving force. But I think around high school I got into a game called Uncharted 2. Well, Uncharted, and then Uncharted 2 came out. And I was waiting so much for Uncharted 2 to come out, and when it did, I just instantly went on, and thankfully this was during high school, because I think I would have suffered if I really, with the amount of love I had for that game along with classwork, it'd probably be this like real conflict of trying to figure out which two. But no, I would still do my classwork.
Yeah.
But I was up every single night in high school, like 4 a.m, and they have multiplayer, and not a lot of people remember that there's multiplayer in Uncharted 2, and a really good one too. So you can go up against, you have 10 people fighting against each other. There's 2 teams of 5, and I made some of my best friends there, and we would just play around. A really unsocial time, but I so really enjoyed the art aspect of it. And this is the first time that I was looking at the textures, and I thought more than just like animating characters, but wow, I really like the creation. This digital art that I can walk around I could really control what I see, and I can move around this amazing architecture of this bridge. And
so
then
on these online multiplayers, would you consider this was your aha moment? This was your wake up as a game developer artist? Because I've kind of talked about that before. I think that everybody in this industry kind of has that aha moment when it comes to a video game, or I mean, not necessarily a video game, it could be really anything, a game in general. I talked to my friend, he's a game designer as well, and him and his little brother were making games out in their backyard out of, stones and wood and all that stuff since they were little kids. And I think eventually we grow up and then we finally figure out, this is my aha moment, I could do that. Yeah, I think that was that's the way you said it. That was definitely my, I think, aha moment. I think also what really helped was Naughty Dog, the development company. They actually posted,
behind the scenes videos, a lot of them during that when that game was released.
Really?
So I got to see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still up on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
But yeah, they had like just like behind the scenes of the director and the writer and the lead artist, and Amy Hennig was the writer on there. So I idolized her, and then I idolized like the whole art team, and it's like they were celebrities to me because they were on this like 4-minute video or several 4-minute videos, and you could see their screen and what they're doing. And so that was when I was thinking like that would be really awesome to work there, and I would love to pursue that. So that's when I started thinking about it. And like I said, I had all these different other creative mediums that I really liked, like film and animation and music. So when I had gone to Full Sail, I was stuck between learning game art, like actually pursuing the game art program or the computer animation program.
Okay.
And I figured computer animation would be an umbrella of everything, because like my main thing was, again, like I want to bring my drawings to life, and I was thinking, okay, well, if I learn computer animation, then maybe it's going to lead me to still give me like more option in the future. And yeah, I was a little nervous at one point that I'm like, oh, should I have chosen game art? Does it mean that I'm expelled from becoming a game artist or being into the game world? But that wasn't the case, obviously.
No. Well, they kind of say, you know, that you kind of label yourself that title, but really there's so many, just even in like in my field in game design, you say I'm a game designer, but there's so many other, you know, opportunities and things that you can do with that. And I'm sure it's the same with you as well, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's nice about, if let's say for my perspective, I learned, I mean, if you're going to Full Sail and you do any program, they're going to teach you sort of like a dozen different jobs in that specific industry that you're studying.
Yeah.
And you really have all this like, you have a choice to pursue any of those. And that can be very overwhelming for students. I think when you love everything, but you just don't know which way to go. And that can happen. But when it comes to, let's say, like modeling, 3D modeling, that is one, even though 3D modeling is a subsection of like computer animation, you have actual animation, like movement, and then you have VFX, you have compositing, and there's a couple other ones I'm missing, rigging. Even in 3D modeling, you can get into 3D modeling, but you could still end up being a environment artist. You could model vehicles, you can model creatures, you can model specifically like hair shaders, you know, like all these different things. So you can apply all your talents to so many different things. And that's what I found out when I had graduated. I ended up getting into a medical illustration company to do medical models.
Really?
So
like, what does that mean by as like a medical models? How do you mean by that?
So this medical illustration company, they make illustrations, 2D and 3D, and actual animations for court cases. So if, let's say somebody got into, let's say, a car accident, and they need the jury to like understand and visualize better what actually happened.
The injury or something, right?
So then you have this company would create an animation, and they'll work really intensely with the plaintiff, the one that actually went through it, the attorneys, and any sources, any legit sources that they can get the most non-biased view of what happened. They'll make the animation and show it in court. So I was in charge of some of the 3D models for those animations.
Did you recreate any of like the scenarios with like the cars and stuff like that?
So there's like so many different, I've been freelancing with them for a while, and mostly worked on more of like different pieces of like the human anatomy. So I made a skeleton. I've worked on like a fetal skull and a bunch of different things for human anatomy. Sometimes you'll be working on something
That's
and
so wild. I
and
can't even think about that. Wow.
yeah, all of this is, I mean, this is a sector that I didn't even know existed until
I don't
that's
think
when
most people
in
knew
Full Sail.
existed, especially our viewers and listeners, until you said something tonight. That's crazy. And
Yeah.
did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them, or?
It was pretty awesome actually because I kept in touch with my career development advisor,
Yes, of course.
and yeah, and so any Full Sailors listening, I think you have to reach out and connect with your
Absolutely.
career advisor.
Don't
So
be scared.
she
Don't be
helped me.
shy.
No, it doesn't hurt. If anything, it's going to help you a lot, and that could help you land your first job.
She's right.
Yeah. So yes, through her, I was able to get in touch, and yeah, it was really just it's not just who you know, but you know, like the connection that you have with them. And at that time, I was really communicative with her, and we were just constantly talking about like what I wanted to do. And at the time, I really like I did know that I liked photorealistic stuff, and I liked characters. So I originally was focusing on becoming a character modeler. And so she's like, okay, so this is characters, and they need photoreal
Yeah.
models. And then I looked, and I was like, oh my god, this is medical modeling, and it's pretty what do you call it? Like, it's rigid. It's not flexible. So if you're asked to do a like let's say a human skeleton, which is what I was doing, I call it the most, it's the truest concept. There's so many illustrations of it. There's so many images of it, but you can't change it. You can't. There's no artistic liberty. You have to make it the way that it is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't want to sway the verdict because you accidentally made a bone that looked like it was, you know, like injured.
More fucked
But
up
it was
than it's
actually
supposed
just
to be, right?
it was just a UV seam.
Yeah. Sorry about
So-
that. It's a little distorted there.
Yeah. That was, I learned, it was like that. I learned a lot through that experience.
To catch up in chat real quick, ObserverCon Bot says 8-bit graphics are badass. He also says, hey, Natalie. They also said, hell yeah, gotta respect the original gaming graphics. Aoski says, I love to 3D model stuff. My work has one for making teeth. It's awesome. Oh, I think he's referring, Aoski is also a Navy as well, and he was in the medical field as well, so I think they do models with the teeth as well. And then here's the link to our breast cancer fundraiser for this month. We posted. Check out that link. You see here the pink ribbon for this month, and of course Natalie's displaying one as well. But yeah, to get back to the story, I know we'll go backwards here a little bit. So, were there any universities and career or like, you know, studies that you were looking for to apply to when you were in high school in your senior year and stuff like that?
Like other universities?
Besides Full Sail, yeah, or was Full Sail the one that was like, that's where I'm going?
Yeah, I applied to several other universities as well. I applied to, let's see, no, at the time I was actually living in Georgia.
Okay.
So I had grown up in the area in Full Sail, so that they always were in the back of my mind to pursue, but it always seemed like such a long shot. Like they always just seemed like an elite school that with all the what they have the like a chrome plane world on the when you're driving down University, and like a beautiful glass buildings. I felt like, oh man, I don't know, I guess I just didn't think I was good enough to go there. So I was in Georgia, and I was looking at applying to different art schools like Savannah SCAD, so Savannah College of Art and Design.
I've heard of
And
them.
then-
Yeah, I've. If there are people listening from that school, I appreciate the overabundance of information that I've received from your college. Thank you. Anyways,
But there's a lot of people that go to there. I mean,
I've gotten quite a few. Hey, so have you heard about SCAD in the mail?
so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time, that was the school to go to. All my artist friends were going to SCAD, or they were, if not, they weren't going to be an artist. And so, I was going to apply to them, but then I was also eventually. It's like, I think it was like my mom was like, "Oh, what about Full Sail?" Because I was in Georgia, so then there was other things that played a hand, and with family and stuff, and I found that I was going to go back to Florida. So I started applying to Ringling and another art institute. I think it's Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale or something. I think so. And then there's Ringling College of Art and Design, which is in Sarasota. So I applied there, and I applied a couple places. But then I was like, okay, let me apply to Full Sail, even though I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to be in Florida at the time. So I applied, and right at the time where I was like, where my family was going to move back to Florida, then I got the acceptance letter, and we're like, okay, this is perfect. And so my whole family and we all moved back to Florida, and I ended up starting at Full Sail. But yeah, it was interesting. It's kind of hazy because feels like such a long time ago. But I do recall that I was applying to several art colleges, and that I didn't think that I was going to get accepted to Full Sail. I just thought it was such a cool school that I'd pass every day, and I just saw kids with their backpacks, and you knew that they had like all their equipment in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the story played out the best way, and you ended up getting there to Full Sail, and there's definitely no reason to doubt yourself, especially for people that have looked at your art now. I'm sure that you definitely have an incredible talent when it comes to this. So Full Sail definitely knew what they were looking for. And when you were in Full Sail, so you went directly into the game art degree?
Went into computer animation.
Computer animation
Degree. Yeah, and what was nice about it too is that I think it's changed a little bit now, but actually, yeah, it's kind of changed. So I know game art. Which program are you in?
I'm in game
art?
design. Game design myself. Yeah.
Okay. So with game art and computer animation, they're very similar in their curriculum. So when I was going through, the game art students and the computer animation students basically were parallel. We all went to the same class.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once in a while, like I think the first month and like the fourth month, we'd have different classes. But for the most part, I think up to like month 21 or something, we'd all be together. And then right when 3 months before graduating, the computer animation students focus specifically on their demo reel, which is for using pre-rendered. It's like the pre-rendered route, right? So you work on your model, and then now you sit and wait for a bunch of renders to take place through all your frames, and then you learn that direction, while the game art students are learning how to integrate and learning Substance Painter, I think at the time, and they're like learning all these more game niche programs. So I actually didn't learn that section. I didn't learn about the game engine in Full Sail. I actually
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I actually learned on the job at Avalanche.
That's incredible. Well, it looks like you were quite the fast learner.
Yeah, it was interesting because I didn't even know engines, because like my friends, when I was hanging out with my friends, I don't think we talked about schoolwork. They like, at least when we divided, after we had divided and they were doing their game centric studies, and then we were doing more of the like film approach. Whenever we met, it was like for such a short amount of time, so we don't talk about
No,
like,
brought it
okay,
up,
what
right,
engine
yeah.
are you working in, so or like what version of Maya are you working in. That's not, that's
Not
not gonna
basic talk,
work.
no.
Yeah,
What were
so I
some of the
know.
models that or engines or not? Is that the correct way to say it when it comes to computer animation? Like model engines, like were the programs that you were learning?
Yeah, for computer animation, yeah, it's not called an engine. It's
No,
just called renderer.
renderer.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and like mine, it's completely obsolete. I used Mental Ray,
Okay.
and that is completely obsolete. It was right in Maya. So, you're familiar with
Yep. Maya.
Maya,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I love
Okay,
it. The new
cool.
I love the Maya 2020. It's good.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I tried, I downloaded it and it started crashing on me. So the thing is, when I decided that I'm not going to use it again, and then I accidentally opened it up the other day to work on my assignment or my personal work,
Hmm.
and it was like 2 hours in, and I realized I've been working in 2020 and it hasn't crashed. So it's
Fingers crossed. Good. So far, so far so good.
so far it's been pretty good.
That's good.
But yeah, we used Mental Ray, and nowadays I think it would be Arnold renderer, or if you wanted to just use a render for your game art, like people use Marmoset and iRay and Substance Painter, and there's so many different renders that you could still use for games or your other pre-rendered assets.
To catch up in chat real quick, Aoski and ObserverCon bot said, "What is the best college to go to for learning video game graphics and stuff?" I know that's quite an objectified answer that we could
Yeah,
give both of us, but
yeah. I mean,
I mean,
do you want to go?
no, it's fine. You definitely know more about the graphics and stuff side of it than I do.
I mean, I can only speak from my experience. I'd be kind of biased. And yeah, so I know I know Full Sail had a really good, uh, a it has a good program, and from what I know from friends I've taken the program, uh, it seems like it holds up really well.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I would say let's look at like what kind of art or what direction the school is taking, and see if that's the direction that you want to go in. So
I'd
for
agree,
example,
yeah.
I know Full Sail is very technical, and if you can tell if you compare it to like Ringling, for instance. Ringling's like kind of like a more traditional art approach, and Full Sail teaches you more on the specific tools. And it's like NYU Game Center. They're also very different in their approach. It's a city, so it's like there's a lot of community involved. They do playtest Thursdays, and they just get involved with like indie developers. So as opposed to AAA, just because New York is not really a hub for AAA games,
Yeah.
even though someone might expect that to be. California is very much a hub, but New York has very few AAA game studios.
Yeah, that's
So
what I've
so when
noticed.
you're a student going to a city that doesn't have that many studios, it's going to be like there's going to be a different type of learning environment.
Well, that's a good answer. I hope that answers your question, ObserverCon bot. If there's anything else, anyone in the chat, feel free to ask questions to either for both of us. So my next question is, what kind of art style were you, when you mentioned that you're drawing and stuff and you're into characters and stuff and you're putting together your demo reel and all that, what kind of art style did you mainly draw? Like, what did you, I know a lot of people like that anime style, stuff like that.
So for my demo reel, I mostly worked on like realistic 3D models.
Okay.
Yeah, if anybody wants to see, can I put in my
Absolutely.
my website?
100%.
Cool. Okay, so my demo reel is actually there, so anybody wants to see. But it is also several years old. Yeah, I'm working on something now to update my work so everybody can take a look. But my work is typically photorealistic, or from the two of them that show there. And then I have two characters. It was like a caveman and a dog that was very stylized, and that was just for in case when you're trying to find a job, you're kind of trying to cater your art to the needs of studios that exist right at that moment. And um, I love photorealistic stuff, so I made a Jackson Chameleon that had nice textures, and I tried to texture it so it looked like it could fit in with, let's say, the Mill, which is a VFX company, a commercial effects company, or like Frame Store. And then I had another character in there that he was untextured, but he would be good for like a film, I guess a film quality, like a blockbuster quality animation. And then with the caveman and the dog, I'm trying to look at maybe what Pixar or DreamWorks or Blue Sky would be doing. So I guess that's kind of segueing into when you're creating your demo reel, especially when you're like the first one, when you get out of college, try to make it so it is catered to those that you're trying to join the team for. And I would say also, like, it's not about not doing what you love to try to get someone's attention. If you're not doing what you love in your models or in your art, then you're already doing it wrong. So for example, I love like Jackson Chameleon. So and I love
Could you describe
photorealism.
what one of those looks like, a Jackson Chameleon? Dude.
Oh, just describe what it
Just
looks
kind of
like.
describe what it looked like, yeah.
Yeah, so a Jackson Chameleon, it's a normal chameleon with the giant eyes, but it has a horn
okay.
kind of in the shape of a rhinoceros.
Oh, okay.
And it has it's just like amazing. It looks like a little dinosaur, basically. It's kind of like a triceratops crown here, and also actually that's the normal chameleon, but this one actually has two horns jutting out
Wow.
in the front of it. Yeah, it's really gnarly. So there was actually I think it was a commercial or something that the Mill had just released of a chameleon, and I think it was just coincidental. But I know my art director at Full Sail was like, "This is perfect because if you make a Jackson Chameleon now, and they see that yours kind of is in the ballpark range of theirs, they could visualize you working with them producing that content."
That's right.
So so it's not about like giving up what you love to do. Let's say if you like making like anime models, but there's no anime company or something, and then you're just like, okay, well, fine, I'll just make sofas. No, like, don't do that.
Don't settle. No.
Yeah.
Don't settle for sofas.
Don't settle for sofas. Just like there's other things that you can do. Like I love dragons, and one thing is it was kind of hard doing a dragon in that short amount of time, and there's not many people making dragons, or many movies that are making dragons to visualize you working at their team. But surprisingly, there's a lot of commercials with chameleons. I don't know if you noticed.
There are.
That. And so like it's kind of like, and it's also something that like a lot of commercials do use animals. So they might see like, okay, you know how to make this animal, so maybe you know how to make another animal. So yeah, like catering your reel is critical.
Super important,
and,
right?
Yeah, and then balancing it out with making sure that is actually what you love to do.
We have a question from Get You Some 808. He says, I'm sorry if I missed some prior to this, but my question is, do you enjoy working on teams or by yourself?
That's an interesting question. So I feel like I enjoy both. and I work with the team majority of the time, and I've worked with the team for 6 years at Avalanche. You can't make that. You cannot make that level of game on your
Nope.
own, or you can, but it's probably going to take you like
20
a
years.
long time. Yeah, it's going to take you a long time. So, I would say you can get a lot done on your own if you have that mindset, but if you have the right team, you can get a lot more done. And I think that's what I like. I enjoy working with a good team. And if on the opposite end, you can work with a team and it could feel like if it's the team is not a strong bond, then it could also halt any sort of motivation. But when you're with the right team, it just feels really good. And adding to that as well, I think a team effort, it's everybody. So and I'm going back to like group projects. I never was a fan of group projects,
No.
and that was yeah, yeah, you share the same sentiment. And I think it was also because half of the group was not invested in it, and usually it end up being that half the team is pulling the weight of others.
Or you have that
And
one person that, shows up to the party too late, like, oh yeah, I'm here to, do a couple levels. Yeah, I'm here.
yeah,
Thanks, man. Where you been the entire time?
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm right here." No, that's not good. And I think when you're working at let's say like working with a team that we're all under the same um, deadlines, under the same pressures,
Yep.
and you're all have the same passions, then it's more than just like a group project that you're not like getting paid for, right?
Right.
You're like there for a reason, and everybody's working together, and everybody's proactive, and everyone's really passionate.
From the teams that you
So,
worked on, did you notice people start to grow together through the project and stuff like that?
oh yeah, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Um, you start to know everybody's form of communication as well. So, like in the very beginning of a project, everybody's just being respectful, considerate, and listening to each other. But then maybe like 2 years into the project, everybody knows exactly what makes someone feel pressured, what helps someone to do their best, what doesn't help someone, and then that's going to help everybody really just work the best that they can. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how we all like just grow together.
Could you attest to some of your? I know you don't like doing the group projects, but some of the stuff at Full Sail, did that attest to help you later in life with your career?
Yeah, yeah. There's like several projects that I actually still remember, and that I think we did a great job. And actually, I'm surprised that we did it despite all the obstacles. So like we had a motion capture class where we
Interesting.
learned all the different techniques of using motion capture, using a motion capture studio, the suit, taking that motion capture data into the computer, and uh, converting it to actual data to be used on your character models, your rigged character models. And we had an idea or the project was to create an animation using motion capture data. And we had, I think it was like a group of 5 of us, and we were all really into rock music. So we were like, they have an animator. The garage opens up in this like suburban house, and there's this garage band that's playing a song. And somebody's playing the guitar, someone's playing the bass, drums, and someone's singing. And then we'll just have it open, and all of a sudden, the whole neighborhood flocks to the driveway and starts, moshing and jamming along with them. And we had the System of a Down song, and we had our
Which
motion
one?
capture. it was great. And then you can't go wrong with that song, Chop
No.
Suey.
That's the best.
Yeah. So we had one of our they had one of the students in the class for the whole class do all the sessions. So you basically get a list of all the animations that you need done for your animation. So for example, I need someone pretending to play drums. We need someone pretending to sing. We need someone who's like banging their heads and dancing to the music and so forth. And so we had a student that was like, okay, here's a cardboard guitar and just pretend to strum it. Okay, here's some drumsticks, pretend to hit it. Here's your pretend there's a drum set right here. Pretend you're holding a remote and toss it. Like that's the garage door opener. And that was really fun. We all didn't know what we were doing because it was all obviously brand new to us. But I think there was a level of fun. That's why everybody was really involved with it. Passion, and we all just wanted to do good because we wanted to learn the material, but we just wanted to do good. But I think this is that one project where we wanted to see our vision.
The freedom of creativity flow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if we didn't work hard at that moment, it wasn't going to happen.
Mm-mm.
So that was a really good group experience. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, it's like my favorite thing. And once in a while, I'll watch it, and it's just really fun. So there are good group
Some good
experiences. I think you just need to have everybody just needs to I guess see the purpose in it, but and once you do, and then you can have fun with it.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. So, going from after Full Sail, you talked about the drawing for the medical and stuff like that, and then now you went into Avalanche Studios.
Yes.
Directly after that.
Yeah. So.
What was your
Sorry?
what did you get hired as at Avalanche? What was your job, or is your job, I should say?
Well, I mean, yeah, I did mention that I changed titles. So when I first started at Avalanche, I joined as an environment artist, and actually, I had finished when I graduated from Full Sail and I got into the medical illustration company. I started as an intern and then it became freelance. And then I kind of finished that project. It was a 3-month project, and then I was able to kind of take a break. And by break, I meant that I'm not sure what's gonna happen after now. I'm done with my freelance, so I have to continue applying for jobs. And around that time, this was around September of 2013, and I found out that Full Sail was inviting a AAA game studio from New York, Avalanche Studios, to Full Sail and to talk and potentially look for people to join the team because they had some positions open for environment artists. And I at that time I was thinking, I just finished the freelance, and wow, this is cool, but there's obviously so many people that want this. And so when I actually went to Full Sail, the hallways were full of people. And luckily, with my experience with the skeleton and with the medical illustration company, I was able to I managed to get an interview with Avalanche on campus the next day, and they actually knew about my work.
That's incredible.
Because word travels.
Wow.
Yeah.
The next day, look at you.
Yeah. The very next day, they were doing interviews. So the first day, they were just talking about Avalanche, and then I guess they got toured around campus and they got to talk to students. And I got to talk with them very briefly. And the funny thing is, all the people that I met that day, at the time it was a QA, an engineer, a world designer, and HR. And now Brian, who's a QA, now he's like a big producer in Avalanche now.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and so the next day I went to go to an interview with them, and they already knew my work. And so I remember Brian was like, "Okay, so you're doing characters. So this, yeah, like this skeleton, like this is amazing." And then he was like, "Okay, so you can do environments." And it's like at the time I didn't do any environments, and I'm like, "Yeah, of course, anything I could really. You put anything in front of me, I'll do it."
I can do it. Yeah,
And,
just keep an open mind, right? What are you gonna say? No, I don't know how to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean you gotta like believe in yourself, sell it.
Yeah.
And so, I not really any environment experience aside from modeling stuff throughout my full sail career. I never like brought anything into an engine, but I think with that specifically, they could see different ways that like they can apply my talents to what they need to do. And so when I officially I got the offer. I did the art test first, and then I got the offer, and I ended up moving to New York in January. And then in February, I started as an environment artist. So fast forwarding forward.
Right.
And my first assignment was to make like a military tunnel for Just
Okay.
Cause 3.
Yeah. So was that the
There's, like,
first title that you worked on, Just Cause 3?
That was the
The
first
first
one
one.
I worked on at Avalanche.
Which is an incredible, awesome, fun game. For those of you that aren't familiar with Just Cause 3, it's kind of like an open world military shooter, but it's third person, but it's also like you have a grappling hook, you're flying around, attaching yourself to buildings. Your main goal is to cause as much chaos in this place as possible, blowing up stuff, shooting rockets, all kinds of stuff. It's good fun. I loved Just Cause 2, 3 was good, 4 was good, all of them were good.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean it's a fun game, and I'm really glad that you enjoyed it too. It's one of those games too that I know we'll look through the comments, and if we see somebody talk about this, like if somebody on Reddit was saying that it'd be so cool if I don't know if somebody said this, but like if there was like a dog shaped car. So now like in Just Cause 4 we have a dog car, and I think honestly I think it's from reading things from people saying
people, yeah.
wouldn't it be cool, or like wouldn't it be cool if we can and one thing it's like somebody was like wouldn't it be really cool if we could stunt, because I know there's like it's a big thing for like there's like a stunt community for Just Cause games where people are just proactively finding different things that they could pull off with the physics.
Yeah.
And I think somebody's like, it'd be really cool if I could drive this car into the hatch of the back of the plane by driving it off the cliff of the mountain, landing right into the plane, and then getting into the plane, and then spinning around, driving, like flying the plane back to the city, and then go back into the car, fly out, like fall out of the plane and onto the top of a building. That was an actual stunt. And we actually had to make sure that like some environment artists made sure that some of the areas on the buildings, like I think it's like the church tower or something, you have this little like area, like a mezzanine area, somewhere where you can actually go in and look about the city. And that's actually big enough to fit a car specifically.
Wow.
So that
okay.
way, yes, so anybody could go in, and so we just try to keep that in mind to keep it fun.
So after Just Cause 3 and Environment Artist, you said you changed titles. What other titles did you hold after that?
Sure. Yeah. So after JC3, I ended up working as a vehicles and weapons artist on JC4. It was an interesting transition because it wasn't like I did do a lot of I kind of took on many hats in JC3. So I did not just did environments, but I've integrated vehicles, and I created the models for all or like most of the chaos objects that you blow up. So because
so
of that
awesome.
work, Yeah, it was a lot of fun. My main job was like at one point after I had modeled all of them and we textured them, it was okay. We have to go through and blow each and every one of them up and see if it looks aesthetically good.
That
And
must have been a lot of fun. What was it like seeing like your work and then literally the entirety of just blow all this shit up right there? Was that just the weirdest thing to see right away?
yeah, it's like oh, you made this really nice texture and everything, and then all of a sudden it just blows up.
Kaboom.
Everything, yeah, everything. And the funny thing is, going to like the technical side is once they blow up, then you have all these pieces that it either so let's say the back of the model. One thing when you're working on destructible objects is you're not just making what looks good from the outside. You also have to make it look good after it's blown up. What are the pieces
debris,
that are the debris pieces? What are they looking like? And if there's
That's
a bunch
so
of
crazy.
strange UV wrapping on there, and like there's a like a weird red material on there or a green material that doesn't make any sense, then you have to go back in and fix that. So it was a lot of just constantly blowing things up to get it to a point where it looked good. And so somehow, like working on that, those are considered hard surface objects. They're not really organic, but they're also still part of the environment. But they gave us at the end of the project an opportunity to choose our path, see if maybe to go a different route for the next project.
Wow,
And
that's
so,
really cool. That's really interesting. They allowed you to do that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And also, like Avalanche is one of the only game studios I've been to, so I can't speak for other studios, but I think we're a small team, and usually we end up wearing different hats, and everybody can shift, and it's kind of like an organic process. I think everybody will shift slightly from the start of a project to the end, and then we sort of analyze where we're like what's our general direction and where we're heading to, and then for a next project, then it's like, okay, do you want to stay here, or it looks like you're kind of gearing towards this way. And that was kind of with me with the chaos objects, was I got really into making metallic textures and working with PBR and working with like hard surface structures and vehicles and weapons
PBR?
right there. Yeah, sure. PBR is physically based rendering.
Okay.
It's a type of texturing workflow that artists use nowadays. To like sum it up simply, it's a way to achieve realistic metals in video games.
Oh, wow. Is that
Yeah. So
what was your favorite weapon that you worked on in Just Cause 4?
So I worked on a lot of different weapons, and so did like we have a small vehicles and weapons team. So we all worked on, and by small I mean like 2 most of the time.
Quite literally, very small.
at the most, yeah. And so we'll have like 2 people, and then throughout the project we had maybe at max 4. I think maybe had 5 at one point. But I would be on different weapons, and I never really saw one straight through, but except for one weapon, which was the cluster bomb. It was the cluster bomb launcher for the DLC. Can't recall the DLC 1 pack, I think, but it was like an homage to the JC2 cluster bomb gun. And I had to revamp that one, and that was a lot of fun because they just gave me a concept that was about 10 years old, and it looked like a real like over the top action, like Expendables weapon that nowadays people will shoot down and say that it's not realistic. So I was thinking of, okay, well, do I keep the fun in it and make it like like obviously the magazine you don't load in grenades with a magazine, but in this concept you do.
Right.
So it's like, do I do that? But then I'm like, then it looks unrealistic in a realistic environment, even though JC4 obviously is still kind of over the top in art sense. They still try to ground it in realism. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was really cool to be able to try to figure out. It's kind of like a puzzle of like, what should I keep and what should I change.
It's interesting that someone gave you feedback for whether it's realistic or not, because with those games aren't even like the most, you can't consider that to be the most realistic thing ever. Like I don't know anyone that has a grappling hook that flies in a bodysuit all around Argentina with gigantic RPGs blowing up nuclear areas. I don't see that as a very realistic thing. So
I think I've seen someone
a couple times.
Yeah, the conversations that we have. I mean, you have to have them. It's like, look, I don't know if this is plausible. And it's like there's a car strapped to the side of a wall in a building on the computer behind you. It's like, I don't know if this is going to be realistic.
How did you feel about the response with the people? I don't know how to describe it. The jetpack balloons that were there, I guess, or like the balloons that took off and they lifted objects and stuff. I noticed a lot of people were doing that, making a lot of interesting stuff with that, like cows flying up in the air and things like that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was the retooler that Rico had. So, like instead of just using the grappling hook, he would have different tools, and that one I think everybody loved.
Yeah.
I used it too. I unfortunately don't get the time to like play around too much with the game.
Right.
It's kind of like a rabbit hole. It's one of those games where you're like, okay, I have to test the game because obviously I'm working in it, so I have to make sure I play. And it's not the fact that you don't want to play; it's just that you're busy working, and then
it's different experience
like,
than when you're actually playing.
Yeah. But then you're like, okay, I'm gonna spend some time playing it today, and then it's like an hour goes by, and you're like, whoa, I didn't even notice. And we had so much fun. That like balloon, I don't remember what it's called specifically, but that balloon is so much fun. I just love seeing people play around with it, and they know what they're doing, and they're attaching those balloons in the equal corners of the car, so you can like elevate it and just use it as a like a hot air balloon ride.
Probably the most interesting thing I saw that I did with that one was I had launched like multiple enemies through them and they flew off the map and I don't know where they went. I never saw them again. But then later I don't know how this is possible, but I was flying around in the wingsuit and I saw the three guys plastered against the building, just like kind of ragdoll against the building. I was like, oh, is this where you guys came?
Nice. Wait, that wasn't the same session though, right?
I swear it was, because I was flying around and I was like, where did these guys come from?
Nice. Yeah, it's a physics game, so it's like unless the character is loaded out, you might find that like you put like C4 in someone and they shot up, and then you'll go somewhere and then they'll finally come down.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the craziest
it's just one
thing.
of those interesting. Yeah, I mean the type of things I saw, and I mean it's such a crazy over the top game.
Super over the top.
I think like my favorite thing is seeing people. So I was in the game. My face is actually in the game, and
you are
for
actually
JC3,
in the game. You're immortalized in the
yeah.
game. Wow.
This is I can say for sure for JC3, but I haven't seen myself in JC4, but we do have a couple of the devs' faces in both games. In JC3 there's a lot of us in there. But I'm like the revolution, the leader of the revolution, which is really awesome.
That is so fucking cool.
Yeah. But what that means is that you show up a lot in the game, which is also awesome. But that means that anybody playing can put like C4 on you or attach you to a car and then like have it rocket off. So I've seen there's a couple of GIFs on Reddit that it's like they don't know, but they're just totally hurting my feelings.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I'm pretty proud. Like I feel like I always wanted to be a stunt person, and
And there
this
you are.
is
Yeah.
one way to do it.
Immortalized forever in a video game.
Yeah, and I actually didn't have to get hurt physically, so that's good.
That's incredible. So after JC4, you've also worked on Rage 2. That's correct?
Yes.
What was your main responsibilities with Rage 2? Which, by the way, if y'all haven't played that one, Bethesda shooter, super cool. Long-awaited sequel to Rage 1. I went and played. Honestly, with that one, I played through it so fast. It was such a blur for me because I loved Rage 1 so much. As soon as I saw they were like, yo, Rage 2, I was like, yeah, I'm getting that immediately. But I enjoyed, it's... Oh, I think I lost your audio.
Oh,
there you are. It came right back. Yeah, sorry, what did you say?
No, I'm just like so. I can't believe that you played so quickly through Rage 2. It goes to show you that you're truly a gamer.
Yeah.
Because I am stuck. I totally I like screwed myself up. I went down to the basement thinking that I could take over these I forgot the creatures, the egg sacs.
Oh no.
And I can't get out. I've restarted the game. Like I turned off my PlayStation and I restarted, and I was thinking like maybe it'll spawn me up right before I jumped in the hole, and it doesn't let me, and so I'm down. But I was trying to play it without like dev mode on, but like one thing about what's interesting about working at a studio that you have like multiple projects going on at the same time. And so when we were working on so just to go back actually. So when I was working on JC3, Avalanche, at the time we had one giant studio. So you have Avalanche Studios, and we're working on 2 big projects, and this company is actually working on several different projects at the same time. But for the big projects, we had Mad Max and JC3.
Nice.
So New York's office was mainly working on JC3, and Stockholm was working on Mad Max. And then when it came to working on JC4, New York office was working on JC4, and it wasn't like a clean cut. Like everybody here is working on this project, and everyone over there is working on that project. There's some people in each office that they might be working on other different projects. So it's kind of like that's a generalization. But we were working on JC4 and they were working on Rage 2, and we love when we have, let's say we deliver milestones or we make it to alpha or beta or we got gold, seeing the other team like celebrate, or they send their progress, or we're like, oh, we can play a new build of Rage 2. So I definitely played a little bit while I was developing Just Cause 4. And so the fact that I got stuck in the basement while I was playing on the PlayStation without like having the game developer capabilities like God mode and stuff, I'm like, oh man, I have to get out of that mindset. I'm not gonna jump in that hole next time.
No.
But yeah, I think we went on a tangent. But
no, I know the question I originally asked was, what was your main responsibilities with Rage 2?
I started on Rage 2 during their DLC, I think DLC 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to work on the environments, some of the environments for like the overgrown buildings. And then I got onto DLC 2, which was Terramania, which is probably my favorite thing I've ever worked on, just because it is it's like a horror.
Yeah.
And Rage 2 is already kind of gruesome and grim.
It's
but
crazy because
Terramania,
you have that grim world and like the populous art. You know what I mean? It's so flashy and in your face, the colors and all that with Rage 2.
yeah. So I love that, and the fact that Terramania was going to be more of like a horror version of already of a horrific, like, and vivid, yeah, world. So when I worked on that, I ended up working on some props, and I worked on the like raggedy shredded tarps that encompass the world and that were hanging on the different bone towers. And then I also worked on the demonic haunted record player, and
Okay.
that was really fun because
Spooky. Yeah.
I'm a huge music fan too, and um, anything like making a record player, a demonic record player, yes.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So I worked on some of that, and then I did all the sound system, like haunted sound system. So it's a really weird combination, but um, definitely was up my alley for sure.
Well, I didn't even realize what time it was, but it's we went a long time talking with all the interviews and stuff, but we do have to wrap it up. No, it's fine. This has been a great conversation. We just have to wrap it up soon, but I just had a couple other questions for you. You mentioned that you're into music and you're a musician, and I noticed, on your social media and stuff that you play bass guitar or regular guitar or both.
Regular guitar.
Regular guitar, and so yeah, so
I know a
you're
little bit of bass, but
you're actively, out there playing guitar. I saw one you did. You were dressed up as Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So how long you've been
that
playing
was
shows
fun.
and stuff?
I think I started in middle of 2017. I attended my first open mic, and then yeah, it was playing all the way up till January. I think was my last show was. I think actually my last show was around January or February of this year, and I was playing about. I can't say like once every almost once every other month. I would say like I think I played about 15 shows last year.
Wow.
So it's a lot of fun. It's another creative
All into
endeavor that I
creativity.
really enjoy. Yeah.
Well, just to wrap up the
So-
show, if you'd like, we can go over just a few topics. We won't be able to get to everything that we talked about. We'll just do a little bit of a speed round. I know we talked Tell Me Why, the game. The producers from Life is Strange 1 and 2 released a new game, story-based, choose your own adventure style. It's called Tell Me Why. All 3 chapters are now released on Game Pass. Super excited about that. I know you mentioned earlier that you were interested in that as well. We got the final preview for the Xbox as well, and PlayStation 5 also did a UI breakdown, which thank God Sony did that because that was a much needed redo, I think, of the UI for the consoles, and everything that I saw looked pretty good. A good redo. Destiny 2 is the upgrades for that are coming to launch for the new consoles starting in December. Do you play much Destiny at all?
I don't,
No.
and that's on my list though.
On the list,
because
yeah.
I've seen playthroughs and it looks amazing.
Lego Star Wars, they're doing a holiday special. I think that's kind of cool. Looking forward to that TV show.
I want to see that.
It's
Yes.
gonna be awesome. I know it's a little obscure, and I told you about this before stream, but there's a theme park in Japan that has a gigantic Godzilla, and now you can zip line through Godzilla into Godzilla's mouth. Japan has continued to embrace their love and fear of Godzilla, so that's kind of cool, I guess.
Would do that. I would do that.
I would
That
do it
sounds
too.
awesome.
It'd probably be terrifying, but
Yeah, like is this like a giant?
From the picture I
Life
saw, this
size?
thing was like gigantic, like life-size
my
looking thing, and it's the entire mouth open, and that looked absolutely terrifying.
Nice.
So yeah, that is it for all of our topics this week. Natalie, it has been absolutely incredible having you on tonight and hearing your journey and your story and everything, and everyone that's come by the chat and everything. If there's any last minute questions, feel free to ask them to Natalie. I'm going to cut over to you, and the floor is yours to say whatever you like, plug whatever you like, talk about your Digitally Distorted Twitch, where she does her, how do you describe it? I would say you're showcasing your game development as you're going through your art and stuff like that. I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, of course. No, thank you so much for having me, and I was really excited when you had mentioned. This sounds really awesome. I love just talking to other gamers that are passionate and game developers. Yeah, so I do a Twitch stream every Saturday, and more or less every Saturday, and I'll usually go through any personal projects that I'm working on. For the last several months, I've been working on a weapon model for game art, and it's an M45 pistol. So for those that are into it, it's an M1911A1, and I try to get really detailed into it, so that's why it's taking me a while. But now for that one, I've been working in Maya and Substance Painter, and now for the month of October, I'm doing a bunch of creatures for my own sake. I love designing creatures, so a lot of that's going to be Photoshop and ZBrush heavy. Hoping that my tech issues stay low, then I could do another ZBrush session this Saturday. So if you'd like to join, that's twitch.tv/digitally distorted. If you'd like to check out the creatures that I'm working on for this month, you can go on Instagram and look up the hashtag 30days30creatures, or you can follow me on Instagram to keep up with the art and any artwork that I'm working on. I can also post my Instagram as well.
All right, thank you so much for that information. Yeah, definitely check it out. When I looked on your Instagram, you looked like this like brain creature looking thing. It was super cool, this alien. Oh
man, I've done so many of them by now.
So we're gonna cut over to our shoutouts page real quick. Thank you to ROE Gaming Havelock and the Hybrid ATX Summer Camp down in Houston. The Orlando Wizard on YouTube. Make sure you check him out. His reviews of local Orlando attractions. And Modern Programming, modernprogramming.com. We mentioned him earlier in the stream. The developer of Anti-Pong. Also, Dodge the Blocks, available on Apple Store. Shout out to Floppy and the Sleepy Planet and Mr. Remy Crespo, the creative director over there. We are looking forward to Floppy and the Sleepy Planet. We're waiting patiently. Our VIP fan for the month of October is Austie Champ. You can check his episode out as well. We had him on 2 weeks ago. Our newest fans for following last week, thank you so much, is Smitten Kitten. And we have two kittens, actually. Kitten Bum and Bic Rabby03. You can follow myself at AJ_East Coast on everything. And we have our breast cancer donation awareness and research fundraiser that we're also posting. And you can follow our guest tonight, like she said, at twitchtv.com/digitally distorted. Please subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Amazon, and Spotify. All you have to do is search ETG Actual. This episode and more is available. We found someone to raid tonight. His name is Zane Kyber, and he is playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Well, Natalie, that is it. And if there's anything else, that is it for tonight, and we're going to head over and raid Mr. Kyber.
Yeah, sounds good. Austin, thanks so much for having me. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Feel free to reach out, hang out, follow.
Yes, and please make sure you check out every single links, including, as our VIP fan has said, it is breast cancer awareness. So thank you guys for coming out tonight, and enjoy the raid. And I am AJ East Coast, and I have been your host.
Good talk.